And in this video I want to talk about a symptom, I'll call it a symptom, that is kind of vague. A lot of times it can be misunderstood. I want to talk about voices. Now, I think most people, when somebody who's schizophrenic tells them they're hearing voices, I think most people think of auditory hallucinations. But I rarely ever experience auditory hallucinations. In fact, I only experience hallucinations when I'm under a lot of stress, when I'm under a lot of distress. I can experience auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, even olfactory hallucinations, and I think they're called gustatory hallucinations. Olfactory hallucinations are when you smell things that aren't there, and I think that, like I said, I think it's called gustatory hallucinations, is when you taste things that aren't there. I don't experience tactile hallucinations, thank God. That would be awful. But I want to talk about my voices. They're usually not auditory hallucinations. Like I said, I do experience those sometimes, but usually, ordinarily, my voices are just inner thoughts that are, to me, as real as talking to somebody in person. They're more like delusions rather than hallucinations. You may read my blog and see that I bash a lot of Protestant churches, or I bash Protestants a lot. And a lot of that comes from how I was treated when I was a child, which kind of is what produced a lot of delusions that I have in my life about people telling me that Jesus hates me and that I'm going to hell when I die because of my sins, and that Jesus is willing to forgive any sin except for the sins that I commit. And there's a lot of voices that tell me that God's love is not unconditional in my case, and that God is actually partial to those whom he forgives, and then there's those whom he doesn't forgive. And a lot of that comes from the way I was treated as a child by Protestants. Right now I'm stabilizing on my meds. You may have seen previous videos I made about having started lithium. I was taking Wellbutrin, and Wellbutrin did help with the voices. In fact, I know people who take antipsychotic medications, but they're still experiencing voices, or they're still experiencing auditory hallucinations, but then they, for some reason, go on Wellbutrin, and the Wellbutrin kind of augments their medication, and the voices go away. The Wellbutrin made me more rational, but I couldn't sleep taking it, so I had to go off of it. Now I'm taking lithium carbonate ER, which is basically generic for Lithobid. It's time-release lithium, and it's stabilizing my mood more so that the voices have come back. I still have them. They're as real as having talked to people, but since my mood is a lot more stable, it's less distressing, and so I'm able to rationalize it more. Having schizophrenia is a lot of, well, maybe it's because I have schizoaffective disorder. I have talked to people who stated that CBT is really effective in treating schizoaffective disorder. Cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically about rethinking everything that you think, and a lot of it requires writing down stuff or recording stuff and going back to it and rethinking everything that you think That's probably why making these videos and making this blog is so beneficial to me, because I can write down my thoughts and then say, well, I've thought it over and I don't really believe that. I wrote a blog called Protestants Hurt Me, warning people about Protestants. I don't really feel that way about all Protestants anymore. I feel that way about certain ones, maybe certain Protestant prerogatives, but there's really no such thing as Protestantism, and really every Protestant is different. And if I think about it, like a lot of the stuff I hear on the radio with the Christian music stations is really in line with the true gospel, so Protestants can't be all that bad. And I should probably write a blog like that explaining what I was going through when I wrote the original blog, talking about how bad Protestants are. Protestants really are not that bad, and that's one of the things I do with my voices is when I experience these delusions, I don't just automatically believe in them. I don't automatically trust my intuition, because a lot of times it's wrong. As real as it may seem, as powerful as they may be, I still have to rethink everything that I think, and the voices of people saying things to me, I have to say, did that person really say that, or did I just think they said that? Do I just think I'm hearing these voices, people telling me these things? A lot of these people that are in my mind don't even exist. I mean, I have to ask myself, who are these people? When did you ever meet them? Where do they come from? And I can explain where they came from. They came from my past. They came from an unreconciled portion of my past. So if you do experience this sort of thing, I recommend that you get counseling for it. On top of taking your medication, I think that would be really beneficial. CBT isn't really a specialized counseling. It's really just ordinary counseling. Most counselors use CBT in their methods. So if you experience auditory hallucinations, then you would want to focus on your medication. Like I said, a lot of times you take an antipsychotic, but you could take something like Wellbutrin on top of it, which will help with the auditory hallucinations. I took, when I was really psychotic in 2003, I was hallucinating visually and auditorily. I saw bugs in my room, and I heard voices. And the doctor put me on 2 antipsychotics and Wellbutrin, and I was able to recover from that. It took a while, but the Wellbutrin really did help with the voices and the visual hallucinations. So that's just a little blurb on voices and schizoaffective disorder, or schizophrenia. So I hope you log on to Willfolio at willfolio.com and check out the blog and leave some comments. Let me know if you hear voices. Let me know what you think about what I said and how you cope with them. I'd like for this to be a really good resource for the community. So thanks for watching. God bless.